Neha, over to you. I just wanted to tell all the participants that I got a surprise package. I got Akshat here, their senior, and we can start with Akshat. And thank you so much, Akshat, for joining us at such short notice. And maybe we can start with you. You can motivate these all your juniors, and then we can relieve you.
Yeah.
Over to Akshat.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
Akshat,
you.
please, especially, since they haven't joined the colleges as yet, right?
Yeah,
It's just
right.
about a week, 10 days to go. And I
Yes.
believe you would be the best person to talk to them at this moment.
Great. Hi everyone. I'm Akshat. I'm a former CP student and currently now I'm in my third year at NLS. Um, I see a lot of guys I hope you guys have made up your mind now, like whether you're going to NLS or NU Delhi, whatever, right? But I'm pretty sure I can see a lot of you are coming here at NLS, and I think for the first years the college starts on what 28th or 29th. So yeah, and we'll be reaching on 30th. So I guess I'll meet you guys there itself. But I mean, it's really great. I never imagined that in my third year also I'll be coming and I'll have an opportunity to talk to people who who are coming now to NLS who were because we've also been in your position that whole Clat thing and then Clat possible doing all these interviews and everything and that that anticipation, that anxiety, that excitement. Okay, like college is gonna start in a couple of weeks, and yeah, I mean it's a great experience. Um, After having a having an amazing time at Clat Possible, we started with NLS, and law school itself is gonna be amazing. A lot of opportunities, a lot of avenues where you can explore yourself, things you've not maybe done before, like debates, moods, perhaps dancing, whatever interests you, right? So I hope I'm sure you guys must have heard a lot of stuff about law school. Like it's like very academically rigorous, whatever. But my only advice would be when you come here, just come with a clean slate. Like don't have any prejudices or uh, preordained suppositions or something like, oh, law school is like this, law school is like that. Law school is anything that you want it to be. So yeah, just have fun and enjoy your, enjoy your time with the family right now because then you'll be off to college, right? So I do hope for all those of you who are coming to NLS, I do hope that we can meet in person as well, have a chat, go about a little how does law school work and everything, and yeah, all the best, have fun.
And Akshat,
For
do you
all
remember
the
anything of your journey, how you managed to reach
Yeah.
NLS? Any of those memories you have to share?
Yes. I mean, it is amazing in one sense because see, when I gave my clat, we had our boards simultaneously with clat. Like there was just 1 week of gap, and I remember this entire week when the result was announced. I had to go to Lucknow. I met Surabhi ma'am and everyone. Then we had Judgment Day a couple of days after that, and then we had to, within a couple of days we had to go to college. So that was those are some of the memories I have. But regarding the journey, I think it was really good. Like the whole clat thing and meeting all the mentors here. So like at my center, I met a lot of people. Then we had our club batch. I met Neha ma'am and everyone through those meetings and all. Then we went to Lucknow for the the proper boot camp and everything. So I think those experiences were amazing, and I'll be very honest with you. Even at law school, some of the my closest friends are people whom I met through Clat Possible, by the way. And I think Survi ma'am knows already. So that's the best part about it, right? It's this journey which introduces you to so many people, like you preparing for the same exam in the same board, and now some of you may be going to the same colleges as your, let's say, study buddies or whatever. Some of you may be going to different colleges, and the thing is that you'll stay connected. So yeah, I mean it's gonna be great. And I hope it has been great for you guys. Like the whole CP experience has been great as well. And I hope the law school experience is also great. So, yeah.
So for those who have just joined or the uninitiated, Akshat had AIR 5, Clat, AILET both, and other than that, all our current CP students, Akshat is making all the mocks for you also, or at least some of the mocks that you're not able to do. So you can type some kind words for him to help you with the mocks. So he's contributing to all the mocks and everything else. So thank you so much, Akshat, and over to
Thank
Neha
you so
again.
much, man. Thank you.
Okay. So, as I began, that the reason why we're here today basically is, to motivate all those people who are going to give CLAT this year, CLAT 25, and we've rounded up all these toppers from CLAT 24 to tell you as to how, because end of the day, they have turned their dreams into a reality, right? So now it's their turn to guide you, to help you, it's for you to pick up tips and to learn from how they did it, and also to learn from the mistakes which they made, which they can tell you that, okay, there's something you don't have to do, because everybody's always telling you, do this. That's fine. So you do that, and should also remember that this is what you do not have to do, right? So those are a couple of things we are going to learn from, I think, all of the people who are here. All of them are going to the top law schools of the country, their dream colleges. So let's begin with let's see, who wants to go first? Let's begin with Managya. Managya, can you tell me what is your take? Yeah. So
Uh, what I would say, what not to do is, the biggest mistakes that I think I did was leaving GK for the last minute. That I can learn GK as I go, and I don't have to learn it like right now. I can keep making notes and I can learn them later. It is not a thing that I would recommend to anyone, because on the last like 30 days or 40 days or so, you are left with so much to cover and not nearly enough time to cover it. The pressure becomes immense and it becomes hard to cope up with everything. And I don't think it is worth the headache to like just keep it till the last minute. So don't leave GK till the last minute, I think.
okay. And when you're talking about GK prep, let's talk about GK, and then what do you think the material which was provided to you, was it sufficient? Is it good to dabble into a lot of sources? Is it good to depend upon the newspaper? What do you think would be your take when it comes down to, your sources of GK, or how should you go about preparing?
I think GK sources should be consolidated. The more you go and the more you delve into different sources, the more you get confused, because like wherever you go, you're going to find different answers, different takes, and mostly it's just confusing. So keep your sources consolidated. For me, I like the CP material and I stuck to it. For newspapers, it is important to go through the newspapers because it is very helpful in option elimination. Sometimes of course it's not possible because I also was doing school simultaneously. It wasn't very possible for me to make GK notes from the newspaper, but because I went through the newspapers once, I knew that yes, this person I have not read in this context, so I'm pretty sure that I can eliminate this option. So for option elimination, newspapers are important.
Okay. So, okay. But then, so far as notes and all are concerned, like one source is generally a good one. It
One
has
source
the,
is more than enough,
okay.
because the more you go idhar udhar, it just
It,
becomes more and more
yeah,
confusing.
and I see all the heads shaking. That's the beauty of it. None of them are saying, no, no, no. What is this girl saying? We don't agree. Everybody's shaking their head. Yes, because been there, done that.
We have all been
Rather
in the
don't make
same
the
boat.
same mistake. Right? Chalo. Great. Now, okay, so that's, anybody wants to pitch in anything else about GK? You want to add on to what Managya said? Any of you, like, you want to give some
So,
other pearls of wisdom? Yes, Chander, tell me.
so, ma'am, I would like to say that don't try to complete the backlog in 1 month. What I did was I left all the subjects and just thought I will be doing backlog in 1 month, and all the subjects were degrading at that point of time. So I
Okay.
would suggest you keep doing the backlog side by side as well as the current affairs and other subjects as well. If you leave other subjects, they will degrade over the time.
Okay. So basic idea is like, you prepare everything together, and like you got to allot time. End of the day, it's a lot about being organized. Is that so? Would you agree to
Yes, ma'am.
that? right? Because you hear a lot that and being organized is one, and making plans which are achievable. Do you think that's important? Anybody has any inputs on that? Keep making goals, making goals which are
Yes,
huge,
ma'am.
making goals which are achievable. Yes, Harshita, tell me.
Ma'am, I am a big planner. Like, I can't study without planning my to-do list, task list, and everything. And I feel when you make a task list, you have set goals like you have to achieve in this day, or if you are not able to achieve, you can see what all is left. Rather than just going randomly or on sources and subjects, you should have a plan. But that plan should be realistic. Don't make a plan which says study for 13 hours, sleep for 6 hours, and like that. Rather, make a plan that is realistic and stick to it consistently, because consistency is very important. It is fine if you're studying for like 3-4 hours every day, but be consistent with it, because once you achieve the art of consistency, you are able to do good in mocks, you are able to do good in tests, and you are able to see where you are lacking. For example, if I wasn't able to do GK today, I can make my task list according to that. Okay, I wasted my time here. Tomorrow I won't waste my time here, but I'd rather dedicate it to GK. So I think rather than making an hour list or so-called timetable, you should make a to-do list. These all are the goals that I have to achieve in this day, and go with it.
Okay, good. Because I've had students. I remember in the Delhi center where there's a couple of students who would come with their diary, and I remember one specific student who had made an hourly timetable. Okay, and she's like, "Ma'am, is my timetable fine? It started at 5 in the morning, 5 to 5:15 brush, 5:15 to 5:45 get ready for school. And I was like appalled. I was like, it was so much of hard work had gone into creating that timetable, but then we are not AI. Like, had we been AI, then it's perfectly fine. But then humans do need some flexibility. So we need to be
Yes,
organized.
ma'am.
But being super organized has its own drawbacks, right? But then that doesn't mean you don't need organization, right? Thoda bahut to chahiye, but itna ki doable ho,
Hmm.
right? Chalo, Harshita, which
Yes, ma'am.
was your least favorite of the subjects? How did you tackle that? Harshita, can you hear me, bacha? I think she is frozen. Okay, let's Brahmjot. Let's talk to you now. Yes, tell me. So, in your prep, which was your Achilles heel? Which was the subject which always troubled you, and how did you go about tackling it?
So the subject was legal reasoning. I never understood the thing.
Okay.
So honestly, I started getting the hang of it after the club batch happened. So it
Okay.
was like very late.
Okay.
It was like ab to karna padega wala time.
Uh-huh.
So my problem was I never used to understand the passage only. I always thought that it's incomplete. It should have something more to it for me to understand it.
Okay.
So the approach was wrong. I was not supposed to read the whole story. I was not there for that. Later on, I got that. So in the club batch, we had a few classes. Then it started clicking automatically. I don't know what exactly happened, but thank God it did. And then when I came back, I did more mocks and it kind of got sorted. So sometimes it's just about the mindset you have. Sometimes it gets stuck in your head. कि ये नहीं हो रहा है तो ये नहीं होगा. So I used to leave it for the end. I used to do the whole mock and then I used to come to legal reasoning.
Okay.
Sometimes I used to get almost equal corrects and equal incorrects. So it was that bad. So yeah, it was that. But then by the end, it got sorted. In the end, I kind of put all my focus on that because I had the other section sorted.
Okay.
So as we were talking.
So how was your experience with the club batch now that you mentioned club
batch? I mean, it was kind of a wake up call for me. I mean, sometimes you don't think that you're kind of good enough. I'm because you think so many people are giving the exam. Why would you be the one who's getting selected?
Yeah.
So during the club batch, we had different assignments. We had a mock or something. Somewhere it clicked ki, nahi, this is doable. I can do it. And then you actually start focusing on it and preparing for the top. You get all your things focused. You I don't know, feel good enough. It's actually doable. It's within your reach. So club batch did that for me, and it was like a game changer altogether.
Yeah, because because club batch is a very novel sort of a concept, frankly. So a lot of people tell us also 1 whole week you're bringing students from everywhere. Is it feasible? How would you manage and everything? But then every year that boot camp somehow really has. I think all of you attended. Yes,
I think
were you
mostly
there?
yes.
Club batch, the batch we had there. So how was the experience? Can you tell me? Yes, the others.
So I was not able to attend the October batch. I was able to
Okay.
attend the June batch.
Okay.
So even that batch was a wake up call, because although people were just everyone just started getting kind of serious from then
Hmm.
on. So, and like everyone, when like we'd go in like in the week, everyone would be answering, and sometimes I'd think ki, maybe I should not answer this. Like they are able to explain it so much better than I would be able to. But that batch in some ways kind of set me ki nahi, I can do it. The test, then when that test happened, I got the fourth rank, so which I never expected. I was very shocked. I was like, okay, if I can get fourth rank in this, and like people are like actually really really good here, I think maybe I can. I mean, I think I can do something. Like I can do something better with myself. So that kind of like motivated me to put in more efforts. I was putting in efforts before, but then I could see my competition. I could like really see who are the matlab, how much people are doing and how much more they are doing than me, and what I should do to kind of like get to that level. So that was like it was a very good experience. And I mean,
Okay.
if people get the opportunity to go to the club batch, they should definitely go. Like that experience, they will never ever regret.
Okay, great. So it's the peers and the people who are you with, that was something which was a good takeaway. And like Brahmjot said, it gives you clarity on certain subjects, because sometimes it's the faculty or maybe it's the people around, because that is, I think, I think Harshita, you were an online student, right? I remember like having so many classes with you, and she was one of those students I still remember who had like umpteen doubts. It used to be lovely to have her in the class, because it would always be that
I was there all the mock analysis.
your your voice is breaking, Harshita. I think there's a problem with your internet. I think she'll rejoin, but chalo, that we'll talk a little later. Yes, Chander, I think you wanted to talk about it, please.
Yes, ma'am.
So, ma'am, I did not go to the boot camp, but I
Okay.
was in the club batch, the online
Okay.
club batch that we had, the group
Yeah.
we had. I still
Yeah.
remember the teachers were answering our doubts even at 10 p.m. Even at 1 a.m., Siddhartha used to send the links for reading at
Yeah.
2 a.m. And then Survi ma'am used to give a little bit of Josh. And then Priyanka ma'am used to ask questions, and then Survi ma'am used to ask, you have just ruined the moment. I was doing Josh talk right now. So it was fun. It was a lot of jokes, a lot of studies, a lot of doubt solving. I believe that solving doubt is one of the most important part of this exam. So club batch is something where your answers are where your doubts are answered, right? Just
Hmm.
within 1 or 2 hours. So it was the best thing that I think.
Yes, in fact, that is something which is really crucial. In fact, if you guys remember, we always have these doubt sessions. The teachers are obviously, the faculty is available to you at the center, but at times when it's not possible for you to come to the center, we would always have these online doubt sessions, which would be accessible to everybody. That is, I feel, because Clat is a paper which is completely reasoning based. And a lot of times, those 5 lines of the reasoning which is given along with the question in your answer key, it does not satisfy you, right? I see big smiles there, because it does not satisfy you. You feel that my answer is correct. Okay, this looks fine, but why is this the only correct answer? Especially I feel with legal that happens so many times. You feel fine, this is correct, okay, I agree, but why is this not correct? I have an equal and very clear logic before my option also, right? So that clarity as to why your option is incorrect and why this is the only correct option, that is something which is very very important, and which kind of works well when you have a one to one sort of a doubt session, or wherein your doubts are clarified in a manner like this. In fact, this year onwards, even the mock analysis we are having on the mode of, where people have speaking rights. So, so, so these kids nowadays, they have a little bit of advantage, which you guys do not have, that during the mock analysis also. So I have analyzed mocks for like 3 hours now, because in the middle of the mock analysis, like, ma'am, no, this is not correct. So let's say you started the discussion right there. And so that's the beauty of the paper, I feel, and the subject that we study. Chalo. Okay, so that, Acha, now Harshita was talking about legal. So anybody else has any other tips for to do, not to do, so far as legal is concerned? Chander, Brahmjot.
Ma'am, my only tip.
Harshita.
So my only tip would be that in legal reasoning, analyze your mocks. Okay, so yeah, my tip would be to analyze your mocks very properly, because yeah, so because in legal reasoning, what happens is that sometimes what you think is not the exact explanation or the interpretation the principal has. And when you attend mock analysis and when you do it by yourself, you think that, okay, I missed this one single word, and that is why I, mark the answer wrong.
Okay, I
When
think Harshita's.
I used to attend all the legal sessions to analyze my.
Okay, so basically Harshita is
Yeah,
saying
there is a
for the
little bit
fact
of internet
Harshita, but there is lag in what you're saying. We can't really hear you clearly, but I'm getting the gist of what you said. The emphasis on analysis
Yes.
of a legal mock,
Yes.
right? Again, I see heads moving. So see, that is something which is very, very important. Okay, Managya, you wanted to add something on?
Yes, yes, ma'am. One more thing that I would like to add for everyone, like attempt your legal section as if it was an RC section. Like, do not use your external knowledge on it, because I had seen it personally for me. Whenever I used to, use my external principles ki हाँ I have मैंने ये पढ़ा था, I have done that in classes, let's just put it like it should be correct, it never used to work. And my marks, when 30 marks a section, I would get like 16, 17. I think back in October end or like November, both Siddharth sir and Surabhi ma'am told me to just take it as an RC section, do not use the external brains on it. And seriously, the mock scores improved apne aap phenomenally. And it was, I think, one of the best advice I have gotten. And seriously, if you attempt legal as RC, it would be better, and you could actually see the difference, because you are applying whatever is given in the passage and not using whatever external knowledge you've used. External knowledge, as far as with the legal is, I think it's more for understanding the legal jargon that is used in the passages. But for like purposes of solving the case studies that are given, it's better to stick to the knowledge that is given in the passage itself.
True. So, that's the tricky part, when it comes down to legal nowadays, that you have to use what is given in the passage. But in order to use what is given in the passage correctly, you need to have some prior knowledge. So there is this little connection which is there, wherein if you do not have any idea about how to go ahead attempt or how to understand that particular passage which is given, then it'll be difficult for you to attempt it. It will not be possible for you to actually comprehend it completely and apply it to the questions. But at the same time, you cannot use the knowledge which you already have exactly to those questions. So I feel from 2020 onwards, in the legal section especially, this change in pattern has been very tricky for the students, wherein, because they need to know the law also, but then they don't need to apply everything which they know. So that is that balancing act which has become a little tough. So especially when you are beginning with your mocks, I feel that is the time when it's very difficult to balance it out. But then after, I think, about 5, 7 mocks, 10 mocks, then you realize, ki boss, okay, where is that sweet point that I have to achieve so that I am correct as well, but still I'm able to understand, right? So that is a sweet balance that you need to achieve, right? Anybody else wants to add on to that? That's it. Sure. Okay. So let's move on. Okay. Who wants to go in now with the next section? Maths. Let's Start with QT. Okay. Okay. Now I see somebody hiding their face and Chander is gone altogether. Okay, let's start with Chander. Since you had vanished the moment maths was mentioned, let's begin with you.
So my maths was not that big of a problem for me because I had
Okay.
maths in 11 and 12. It's
Okay.
just the coincidence I didn't like math though. I was good at it, but I didn't like it. I hated that subject for it. I never wanted to solve that because even after knowing the concepts, I was not able to solve the questions in within the given time frame. So I hated that, and I always used to focus on 5 to 10. And even in this clat, I made such a huge mistake. It was written 3 lakh in words, and I did not pay attention to that. And I solved the entire passage using X. That took a lot of time and it just ruined my paper this time. So I just hate the subjects. Even though I'm good at it, I just hate it.
But because you hated it, did it mean you did not practice it?
No, I practiced a lot. So I had a lot of, like, for each subject, for each topic, I practiced a lot of questions. So I was not scared of it, but I was just, I kind of resisted from doing that.
Because end of the day, when it comes down to preparation, you have to swallow the bitter pill sometimes, because it's
Right.
not something which you like, but then that's where the entire rigor of prep comes in. That, okay, I don't like it, but I have to do it. And when you get into that deal of having to do it, like you're saying, if you get 5 to 10, also correct in QT, that's a big plus. Because that is one, I feel, subject or one section wherein either you are correct or you're not correct. Because when it comes down to legal, when it comes to CR, you're still little iffy that, okay, I've marked it, you're sure about it also, but still, there is some part of your brain in some answers where you might not be very sure. But in maths, you've solved it. So you know that, okay, I'm not going to get negative marking in this. I am going to get, whatever I have, if I marked it, it's going to be a +1. It's not going to be a minus 0.25 at least, right? So that is why, a lot of times your maths, your quant is something which is a big plus so far as your CLAT preparation is concerned. Yes. And what about you, Brahmjot? How was your experience with quant maths?
It was my favorite section. I did it the first thing in the mock. I mean,
Okay.
my thought process was ki, the answer that I will know for sure, like 100%, this is the correct answer. I mean, because maths mein, it's either like right or wrong.
Exactly.
So that was the first thing I used to do. I used to get, like at least 7, 8, so I used to get correct. And finally, so I think I got all correct in the final paper.
That's wonderful.
So, that was my favorite section. I had maths in 11th and 12th also, but I hated that part of it. Like, I did not like the school syllabus maths. But Clat ka maths is mostly based on 10th. It's kind of basically algebra only. I used to like that. So that was my favorite section. A lot of people do tell me ki that is like the worst part of Clat and everything. But I think it's just some, like, it's again some, I think some part of it is like it's somewhere in your brain. Because some people like some section, some like the other. Like, I hated legal reasoning for no reason. I don't have anything against it, but I don't like it. So
Okay,
I think it does hinder your progress or somewhere. But the point is, in the end, it's going to come in the paper, and you have to do it. You cannot escape it. So it's better you get it done right in the beginning.
Okay.
So that's that.
Okay, Managya has been, being very, very expressive since the time maths has come into the picture. So please.
I have a special place for maths, and that is called a very like dungeon I have for maths. It's so like it's such a big favorite of mine, the subject. Like I used to I used to avoid maths as far as I could. Not because I was bad at it, but I just did not like it, and I never ever liked it. Even like when I was doing CLAT, I would dedicate, I think, 25 minutes to maths. Like that is the amount of time people usually dedicate to a reading section. And I would aram se dedicate 25 minutes to maths to solve, I think, one section. I was like, कि एक set तो solve होना ही चाहिए. I remember Harshita and I used to, we were study buddies. So she would be the one, she would pester me, Managya, you have to practice maths. You cannot leave maths in the real paper. You know that, right? And I was like, yeah, I know I have to. So I really, really did not like maths. I just have to say that. So I would score mostly like if it was a 10 mark section, I would score around what 3, 4, 5. I never scored full. I'd never think I scored full. Even in my real paper, I scored I think 9. That is it. That was my maximum score in maths. But yeah, you have to at
9
one
is
point you
good.
just have to
9 in
you
the
just
clat
have to suck
paper.
it and practice it. कि मतलब करना है तो करना है. I used to practice sectionals at the end of the day because it's like I don't like the subject. I did not even have it in 11th and 12th, which I'm very happy about. But अब करना है तो करना है. अगर कॉलेज चाहिए तो
Exactly.
करना पड़ेगा.
Exactly. That is something which is a very important takeaway because, there are a lot of people who avoid maths thinking कि बहुत छोटा सा section है, क्या फर्क पड़ता है. But then that small section makes a lot of difference because that small section is like a cent% correct होने वाला section. And because of the fact that a lot of people, leave it, that even makes it even more special. So if you see all the people who are actually into the top NLUs are the people who either they like maths, like Brahmjot, now they are the rare species, or they're like the other people in this
Like
category, including me. By the way, I also am part of your gang who never really liked it, but for the exams, you don't have a choice, right? You
you
have
don't have
to.
a choice.
You don't
It's
have a choice.
10%
And
of
you
your
have
paper.
to.
You can't afford to leave it.
Exactly.
And
You can't
because
afford to leave
whenever
it.
you leave it, you just have to know that you are leaving your dream college ka sab. You are
Yeah,
just leaving it behind. You're not
exactly.
going to you're not going to get your college by like leaving 10% of your paper. You have to. I mean, my aim was if I can't solve the whole point section, at least I should be able to solve 5 or 6 questions. And even if I solve that much, I am ahead of a lot of people because a lot of people don't even go to that section. So I
True.
knew that, and I used to practice that in principle, honestly.
And do you think the material and all which was provided was sufficient? Was the the teachers or the support which was given to you, was it
The
helpful in
teachers were
overcoming that
excellent.
aversion to maths?
I mean, the teachers were excellent. I used to whatever like doubts I had in maths, they would even be able to tell me like a simpler way to solve it than what I had been initially thinking. And more so, I think for material at least, I depended a lot on class 8th ka maths ka book, which is I mean
Okay.
it's a little weird for people, but I thought that it was very similar to what Clat was asking. So that
Also,
kind
that's
of
a good
helped me.
tip, everyone. I'm like that's something, for those of you who are actually preparing for CLAT this year. I think class 8th maths book. Okay, that's something new. So that's a
Yes,
good tip.
it because it has almost all the concepts. It has compound interest, simple interest, ratio,
Okay.
proportion, time and work time. Matlab, it has almost all of the concepts that are asked in class. So you
Okay.
could, relate to it. If you practice it once, you just get a reminder. Yes, I have done that in back in class 8. Maybe you remember some tips. Maybe you remember something else. So that
Great.
kind of helps. So that I mean, maybe it is helpful for others also. I don't know. It kind of helped me.
Okay, great. चलो, अब हमारा मैथ्स हो गया, लीगल हो गया. Now the reasoning section, the CR section. So who wants to talk about it? Okay, I see a big smile on Chander's face. Please tell me what was your take on the CR
So,
section? How did you prepare for it?
so when I started giving clat mocks for the first time, I just left logic section. I thought it would be so hard, I would be able to do it. Then I started solving it. And when I didn't know anything, I used to score more because I used to attempt less questions, but they were correct somehow. But when I actually started with 30 questions, they went like 2 or 3 marks in starting. Then I practiced again and again. The marks were not increasing. Then I asked Survey ma'am what to do. And somehow the coincidence is the type of question asked in purple books were the type of question asked in this year in AILET.
Okay.
This was like a big shock to me because the pattern was very, really different in 2023. But in 2024, the questions were similar to the purple books. And I did it because Survey ma'am asked me to do it. And I was so happy that actually I'm comfortable with these type of questions. I somehow made it to AILET. And this was the best part. But I still, again, I hate logic section as well because scoring in that section is very like it's very random. Like sometimes you score 5, sometimes you score 20, sometimes you score 15. Reasoning is very fluctuating, so that's why I did that subject.
Okay. Okay. Harshita, what was your take on CR? How did you go about preparing it?
Yes, ma'am. So I think one thing that students really need to know is that there is something called theory in CR. Even when I talk with students now, they're like, okay, is there any difference between CR and English? And I'm like, yes, you have a set theory in CR and you need to know what strengthen is, what weaken is, what assumption is. And you even need to do solo CR, which as Chander mentioned, comes in AILET also. So it's very important to clear the concept first and then apply the concept. Second thing is that editorials help a lot. When you study editorials and when you think that, okay, what can be the main idea, what, how can I weaken this argument, how can I strengthen this argument, what is the assumption behind it. So not just reading for the sake of it, but reading to improve your reading, improve your comprehension skills is what matters. And third thing is that I was very good at CR throughout my preparation, almost like in fact, at the last, Siddharth sir and Surabhi ma'am both helped me a lot with CR, be it mock analysis, doubt solving, and everything. Mock analysis session, I used to attend every single mock analysis session, although I was an offline student only. So I think one thing that happened with me was in main Clat paper, I messed up logical reasoning because I had this assumption, okay, logic, pura paper easy hai, logical reasoning bhi easy hoga. And I think one of the biggest advice that is very underrated is your mindset during the paper. I messed up my Clat because of that, and I messed up logical reasoning because of that. So I think one thing, if you're preparing very well for CR, amazing, but be very clear about your mindset during the paper, that you don't have to assume this section is easy or this section is hard. You just have to go comprehend it very well and then move on to the questions. That's it.
Okay. So, and do you think practice is something which makes CR perfect? Because,
I
a lot
think
of times people feel that, I can't understand it. I tried solving 5 questions, I tried solving 10 questions. I think it's beyond me. I'm bad at CR. There are a lot of times I see so many students coming, ma'am, I'm like, I can do this, but CR, I don't know. I'm so good at English. English is like, I'm so good at it. But when it comes down to CR is nothing but an extension of English. So why is it I'm not doing well in that? So do you think practice has a role to play?
I think more than practice, analysis has the role to play.
Okay.
In reading comprehension, what happens is that you have direct answers in the passage most of the times, and you have vocabulary questions and everything. While in critical reasoning, you have to read between the lines. So mock analysis sessions, when you analyze the mock by yourself, these things help a lot. You'll understand that, okay, assumption and inference में ये difference होता है, and I made this mistake. अगर 4 options है A, B, C and D, then it everything is should matter to you. ये नहीं कि सिर्फ C ऑप्शन करेक्ट है तो क्यों करेक्ट है, बट A, B और D गलत है तो क्यों गलत है, और उनमें क्या fallacies है, और वो क्यों आंसर्स नहीं है. So analysis is something which does not just help in CR but in every single subject except GK, of course.
Okay. So, yeah, that's another thing, which a lot of people I feel don't do. They keep solving mocks, एक के ऊपर एक, especially in the last 2 months. I feel एकदम वो mock marathon पे चले जाते हैं सब, कि भाई जितनी test series हो सकती है उतनी test series खरीद लो and जितने mock दे सकते हैं. I know people giving 2 mocks a day, and as like 2 mocks in a day, and like, are you even just doing justice to one? Like, मेरे हिसाब से तो अगर आप एक mock alternate day भी करोगे, but if you actually do it well, that would be sufficient. So what is your take on that? Getting as many test series as possible and attempting as many mocks as possible. Do you think that is good, as opposed to sticking to maybe 1 or 2 series and doing it well and analyzing it well? What is your take on it? चलो, कौन बताएगा पहले?
So
Okay, everybody's doing. Okay, chalo, chalo, Brahmjot, you start.
So I did go into that zone, though mocks every day wala.
Yeah.
So I did do that. So my experience was, one day you will do it. You might even fit in the analysis also if you put in a lot of hours. But by the 3rd day, you will give up. Because
Okay.
the point is, there's a limit to the number of mocks you can do, number of questions you can practice, and there will be something very different in the paper. It could be that you've never read about that thing. I mean, you have to put a stop on yourself. Like, it goes for every section, for GK also. I mean, there's too much of GK. There's there could always be something that you have not covered. There could be some passages you have never read before. So that thing does not work. 2 days a mock or 3 days a mock, like, because the scores will start declining. It starts getting tiring and boring. I mean, nobody likes reading so many passages and solving them all in a day. It does get tiring. So that's the thing. And another thing I've noticed is that, like, some people, they're like, clat mein to bas passages hi aate hain, passage read karna hai and answer de do. They don't understand that legal CR English, there are 3 different sections and there are 3 different ways of attempting them. You cannot attempt legal the way you attempt English. I mean, like, they're not identical. They might seem like passage and questions, but there's a difference. I mean, you have to go into the detail. It's not an easy paper ki you're reading the passage, you're answering the questions. So somewhere along the line, people are just like taking it very lightly. You don't need any prior knowledge as such except for GK. You can just go in, read the passage and answer the question. I mean, you need to have read about those subjects, those topics somewhere in some reference to like grasp what the passage is even talking about. Because some passages can be too technical and then you will be lost. Ye chal kya raha hai? What are they even talking about?
True.
So that's one thing. So please understand that 3 different things. There are 3 different ways to go about them, and that is why people get different scores in all of them. If they would be same, everybody would be acing them. So there's a difference. That's why it shows in the scores also. So you need to identify कि कहाँ पे गड़बड़ है, and then you can get it sorted.
तो जो कहाँ पे गड़बड़ है उसके लिए एनालाइज करना जरूरी है.
Yes, I used to sometimes just open the answer PDF and read it twice or thrice to understand what the person making the question paper was thinking, and then what I was thinking while answering the question.
That is a very relevant point, Brahmjot, you brought up, because a lot of times you go wrong because of the perspective. When you read the question and when you read the answer key which is given to you, that also provides you with the correct perspective. Okay, this is what the examiner was looking for. Right, and that is something you get with practice. The more you practice, the more you can gauge, the moment you read, from the language, the way it is written, what is it that is being expected out of that question from you. That is something which is very, very crucial, and that comes only with analysis. That cannot really come with with बोलते हैं ना कि एकदम आंख बंद करके बस प्रैक्टिस करते जाओ, that practice will not really yield the result that you are looking for. Now here in there are certain questions which are being asked on the on the chat box here on YouTube. So there is one couple queries which are there on what is the best mock score. Do you think there is some number, magical number, कि भाई preparation के 5 महीने पहले इतना नंबर होना चाहिए and then इतना नंबर होना चाहिए? Is there a magical number which would be there? Because I feel a lot of times when we as faculty try to tell them this, they don't believe. I think you guys must have also gone through that. When we try to tell you ki boss, it's going to change, don't worry, it will go down, it will go up, but nobody is ready to believe, right? That's why I think that's one of the most prominent questions also which comes across in everybody's mind, that what is the score I should be scoring right now, 5 months prior, the score I should be scoring 10 months or 2 months. So what is all of your take on this? This is a very relevant question. Yes.
So my take is, my first mock score was 42 out of 150. Okay. So I was like, ye kya ho gaya? So I did not expect such a low score. Okay. But the point is, mocks ki jo scores and they're not only about how much you practice, there are a lot of factors. I mean, class mein kitni awaaz ho rahi thi? How awake were you? Like, did you get a good night's sleep? Was the bench comfortable? Was the pen okay? I mean, there are a lot of little things that you think don't matter, but they do. I mean, even the AC, is it too cold? Are you comfortable? I mean, like, there are a lot of things. What are you wearing? I mean, like, genuinely, there are a lot of things. So you cannot judge one score and judge your preparation on the basis of that. I mean, like, they could dip one day out of like nowhere. It could be a very tough mock. So I mean, it's a very it's not a regular graph. It will go down, it will shoot up. So I mean, you should not attach your self-esteem to the score, because then you will easily get demotivated, and you cannot afford to do that, especially if you're aiming for like a salka paper. There's not a lot of time left to get demotivated by a single mock score. I mean, and by your rank, I mean, like, if your institute is giving a rank, you should like taking it at its face value. There is some value attached to your mock, your rank. You should be analyzing that, but I think there should be a certain limit till what level is it affecting you.
Okay.
Because I sometimes it does like it's like I have spent so much effort. I've done so many questions, so many practice mocks, sectionals. फिर भी ऐसा हो गया. There's something wrong with the paper. There's something wrong with me. So it's not like that. There are a lot of minute details that come along with your score. So I mean, take a chill pill, relax.
Okay, Chander, what's your take on it? Is there some figure? Is there some, how much of that matters?
So I would like to share an experience. So in September, I started getting in 60s. And then in October, I started getting in 70s. And then in 80s in November. And then suddenly I scored 56 marks in one of the mocks. So it was a big shock to me. Like I have been scoring like increasingly like 60, 70, 80, and now 56. So this happens. I used to think all these people are just saying, oh, these ups and downs and come. These are just for the people, you know, we don't actually believe it until and unless we experience that thing. So during my preparation, I did know that the mock score going up and down, this is the part of process. And secondly, you also have to think the average score. What is your average score? You can't be scoring just 40s like in the past 10 mocks and then expect you will be scoring like 80 or 90 in the actual exam. So I would say keep a focus on your average score. I'll say anybody scoring 70 plus is equally good because it's upon how you attempt it now. Because I believe if you're scoring below 50s, there might be a problem with concept. Once your concepts are clear, you're scoring above 70, I think you are perfectly fine. But just you have to give the mock in the right space, with the right time, with the right mind, and with the right attention.
Okay. So basically, so like for you, the magical figure is 70 plus, right? 70 plus, then you are okay. And once or twice, there might be a shocker wherein you end up in the 50s, but that's something which can be expected, right? Okay. I hope that clears the doubt of the person who's asking here. Okay. Harshita, Managya, you have anything to add on that?
Just one small thing to this. Because the person specifically asked about 5 months earlier, so I will tell. I want to share something. I think 5 months prior, like in June, I got the score of around 50. I got 57. I also got in 60s, and I also got in my. I also got in 80s. So it was nowhere. It was not at all like a flat line. कि मेरे को इतना ही आ रहा है. It kept on fluctuating, which is I think which is not a good thing to happen. What is better is that my score would be like stuck on an average, which is maybe like in 60s or 70s. Doesn't matter, but if it is stuck in an average, I know that I'm working on it, and it's not just luck. Luck is a factor that people like kind of forget when it comes to mocks, or like when it comes to clat in general, because there are days when you know GK and there are days when you know nothing at all. You are just blank कि ये क्या आ गया, मैंने तो ये आज तक इन लोगों के नाम भी नहीं सुने, बस आ गया है. So people forget that, and sometimes that also makes the mock difficult. So just remember that mocks can also be difficult, mocks can also be easy, as long as you are maintaining some kind of an average. And sometimes that, and like as you go mock by mock, that average kind of increases. Maybe right now your average is in 50s or 60s. By the end of it, maybe it grows to 70s or 80s. That means you're doing okay. It's not a bad thing to happen. It's a damn good thing. You don't have to you don't have to score in 90s. You don't have to score 100. You don't have to get demotivated by other people कि उनको इतने आ रहे हैं, मुझे इसके आसपास क्यों नहीं आ रहे. It doesn't really like. Of course it matters. हाँ, मैं comparison में तो मजा आता ही है. Everyone likes comparison. हाँ, I am doing, मैं first आ रही हूँ, I am coming this, I'm coming that. Everyone likes that. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's the real comparison happens inside the CLAT examination if you don't lose your head. So that's what I would like people to remember. होता है, fluctuate होता रहता है. Even in my last month, I got in 80s and I got in 70s. So it doesn't really matter as long as you don't lose your head over it. जो आया है, accept it on the face value, analyze it, see what I'm making, and try not to repeat those mistakes. Make new mistakes.
Well, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. Okay. So that was about the mocks. I'm hoping everybody's clear now that thoda up down to chalega, but then eventually, that average is something which you have to take care of, right? Okay. So I think we analyzed all the sections except for English. English is something which was left. So English here, I think, is generally a general favorite amongst CLAT aspirants. That's a general impression, that's one of the subjects which is a favorite. Is that correct?
Very correct.
Right?
Ma'am.
So, okay. So who would like to talk about English here? A
I'm
quick
thinking.
overview, not just an overview. Now, I would want you to tell me some tips, because even though English is favorite, English can also be a little difficult to score. Because a lot of times people say that my vocabulary is fine, my English is so good, my grammatically I'm perfectly fine, I read also fast, but still my score in RC is stuck at a particular level. I do not breach that maybe 15 plus. I'm stuck at 15. I'm stuck in my early 10s, 20, 12, 13, 14. There are a lot of people who are stuck in that bracket when it comes down to the RC section. So, who would like to tell me that how do you go about, breaching that bridge of, being in the early pre-15, I would call it. How do you bridge that gap?
So, in our center, our teacher told us that English is the most underrated section. Everybody is very overconfident with English. Because we score so much in English in the school. They compare it to the CBSE passages and everything. So we were told by a teacher to put a limit on the number of questions you attempt, but ensure that you attempt it correctly. Because everybody used to attempt all the questions in overconfidence. My reading speed is such. I've read the questions, but English there's a small catch in every question. I mean, if you read the question properly, there will be one word that changes the whole scenario. So it could be in the answers, it could be in the question. So passages I've noticed are generally easier in English. It boils down to the questions and the answers. Because when you read the passage, you're like, "Ye sara samajh aa gaya. Ye to simple hai." But when you come to the questions and the answers, you overlook some words, or you overlook, a small word can make a change in the question. So it's more about focusing. And if it is such an easy section, make it your superpower. Ensure that all of the questions are correct.
Okay.
Even if you have to spend 5 or 10 minutes extra. So like I used to say, maths is my perfect section. English could be yours. But it is not helping anybody if you are not taking it seriously, because then you are losing marks in the section that is supposed to be the easiest for you.
Okay.
And stop comparing your marks in CBSE English and the CLAT English, because they're two different things. The questions are different. CBSE is generally specific details. I mean, if you look the words of the question, the passage, you will find the answer somewhere in the middle and you just paste it. But that does not work in CLAT. And people get disillusioned and they're in a shock. How did this happen? I read so many novels, I read newspapers.
Exactly my point, that you have so much of confidence in you and your language that it's at times it's kind of, especially, even in the classes, you're able to attempt it. Even in the classes, the class sheets, you're able to do so well. But then when it comes down to a mock, and the same is not reflected in your scores there. That is what is disheartening. That is where the fact that you need to put in an effort to prep for it also becomes a very, very important thing, right? Okay, Harshita, do you want to add something?
So, ma'am, as you said, overconfidence takes you down. Same is with underconfidence. It was opposite with me. I was not an avid reader, so I was very underconfident when I started, because I was like, people have read like 100 novels. The people are reading newspapers in sixth class. What will I do? So when I attempted the mocks, I used to go directly to math section, because same with me. Maths was my favorite section. So I used to skip English and reading section. I used to avoid reading as much as possible. And one day I sat with myself and I was like, Harshita, you are going into law as a career. Your exam is almost a short novel of 50 pages. You cannot avoid reading. And when I started, feeling confident about myself, like faking confidence, okay, I will be able to do it. Let's give it a try. I will be able to do it. Let's at least solve a passage, thinking I will be able to do it. Then your mindset changes the things. Like my mock scores boost a lot because of mindset. And I think overconfidence is not a good thing, but same is with underconfidence. You just need to believe in yourself that, okay, I have not done this yet, but I can do this. If I try, I can do this.
Good, because I think especially in your generation, like our generation, there's just TV. Okay, there's nothing else to pass time with your generation. There's so many other things which involve so much less energy from yourself. So reading has kind of taken a backseat, and even if you're
Yes,
reading,
ma'am.
you're just reading Insta. Just just with those 4-line stories which come in. This is the only reading which most people do nowadays, frankly.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
yeah, I can completely understand your predicament, because it's something which a lot of people face, because reading is not something which they do generally. So when it comes down to solving those 50 pages of reading, complete reading for the CLAT paper becomes very difficult. So yes, so that's a very relevant point you made there, Harshita. I think that is good. Okay, now I think with that we'll try to wrap the session up a little. And there are a couple of doubts. Now, so there is one person who's asking on the chat that you know we've somebody who's just started preparing right now. So it's June now, and it's December when the exam is. Do you think if what would be the main focus of preparation for somebody, anybody who started preparing now, I feel, or somebody who's been preparing since, let's say, a year or 6 months or something like that. But these last 5 months that are there right now, what would be the way forward? What do you think they really need to do? What is it that they really need to focus on right now? Chander, please go.
So, ma'am, I would suggest that your best friends are your reading section. Do not focus much on your GK or maths, because obviously they are very good. They are very much scoreable, but you have to make sure that your reading sections are the only two best friends, because GK can ditch anytime and maths could be using a lot of numbers that you don't like. It could be 3,78,243 and you won't be able to solve that. So just go with the reading section now. Do the GK, but do not focus too much on it. Do not overspend your time on GK as well as maths. Reading section is something you can easily achieve. Like only difference between a serious candidate and somebody who's giving it 3 months before the CLAT is the GK section. It makes the difference because GK is a subject that requires a lot of time. So you are as good as somebody who's at this point of time has a lot of backlog but has been preparing for since January. I know a lot of people who have been preparing since last year, but they have not done any GK or something. They have not even focused on the reading section. Those only serious candidates are 10,000 to 5,000. You just have to compete with them. So make sure reading sections are completely good.
Okay, so far as Chander is concerned, his to-do list is the reading sections. Yes, Managya, what is your take on it?
I second Chander on this, at least on the reading part. There is a thing like you have to develop your speed first. Even if there are 5 months left, the speed thing is important because essentially your paper is a reading paper. Like, you have to read a lot, and to read a lot, you have to bring up your stamina. You have to build a stamina to like sit there for 2 hours straight and read and read like 40-50 pages in a go. So building up a stamina for reading is important. I mean, GK and maths are equally important. I'm not saying you can like completely ditch them. Although, yeah, I agree that they can ditch you at any time, but you can't ditch them. You can't afford to ditch them. So, like if you have to complete backlogs of GK, like, you can keep like you can do them in your unproductive time. Everyone has a period where they don't feel like doing anything. That's the time when you make GK notes or like just read through it because you are able to retain something, if like not everything. So make notes at that time, but it is important to give like some amount of time to your reading. It is an 80 marks, it is almost an 80 mark section that like the when you take the three sections, it is almost 80 marks that you are leaving, so you can't afford to really leave that. uh, so yeah,
Yeah, and
reading is
especially
something.
when you look at the reading sections, it's practice which is going to make you perfect. That's the thing with the CLAT paper. It's not something which you learn and you can remember, and that it's like it's not like that. The CLAT paper is all about practice. The more you practice, the more clarity you get, and the more I feel the more correct you would be. Right, so your clarity, which leads to the fact that you make lesser mistakes, right? So which leads to then having a better score and less negative marking. That is something which is very, very crucial, right? So when you are saying that focus on the reading section, I believe what you are focusing on would be practicing for the reading section,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. One more thing that I would recommend to people that are just starting out, maybe start by, of course, you're reading newspaper, you're reading editorials. Also, like read articles from different sources. Do not just keep reading editorials, because yes, they are mostly from polity. But they don't really cover economics. Matlab, sometimes they do, but they are mostly polity, and you're not able to cover, I guess, social articles, social commentary, maybe philosophy, arts. So just keep your reading, keep reading from different sources. Keep your reading sources eclectic, so that you're developing your reading sense in a way that will help you in Clat. Because Clat does not make the paper from one source per se. It makes it from anywhere, and like you should be prepared for anything that they throw at you. When you are reading any passage, it should not be the first time कि मैंने ये कभी नहीं पढ़ा था. Clat is the first time मैं ऐसा कुछ पढ़ रही हूँ. This should not be the case. कहीं ना कहीं, even if you are acquainted a little bit, you're not gonna get scared. That's what I would recommend to anyone who's starting out right now. Like, keep your reading sources eclectic. Read anything and everything you like, because for developing a reading stamina, it's important that you don't find reading boring. Even if you like magazine tabloids at this point, read them, because it's going to develop a stamina which you will like thank later.
Yeah, in fact, when I generally used to recommend to everyone, how do I start reading a newspaper? I would generally suggest, if you like sports, then start reading the sports paper. If you like Bollywood, then just read the Bollywood section. At least your eyes will get attuned to the print, to the fact that it's so tiny and you have to read the whole paragraph. That takes a little bit of patience, for somebody who's never read anything except the headlines. So just read something which you really like, right? And then from there, you pick up and you spread your wings and fly everywhere, right? Okay. Anything else you guys would like to add before we call it a day? Any special tip anybody has in their mind? Yes,
Yes,
Harshita.
ma'am. So the person said, like, I am starting now and there are 5 months left to it. I want to give a tip that, like, that's a bit different. Don't overthink. Like, what happens is that you'll overthink. Will I be able to clear CLAT in 5 months? 1 month will go. Then there will be a new video, how to achieve AIR1 in 4 months, then how to achieve AIR1 in 30 days, and stuff. And you'll just keep watching those videos and you'll not actually do the work. So rather, stick to, believe in yourself. Okay, it's better to at least try, rather than just thinking if I will be able to do it, if I won't be able to do it. People are preparing since 8th standard, 10th standard. No, don't think that. Just start now and start with a plan that you make for yourself. Of course, take tips from people. Of course, don't make mistakes. Try not to make mistakes, but don't keep watching videos on 5 months to CLAT, 45 days to CLAT, 4 months to CLAT and stuff. Rather, stick to your own plan and, more work and less planning. That's what I'd say.
Okay, great. Brahmjot, anything from your side as the
Yes.
closing words?
Actually, a few days back, a junior texted me and she was like, I'm just starting to prepare for CLAT. Give me a timetable that will ensure that I clear CLAT. She asked me every hour, what should I do to, like, between 2 to 3 p.m. and everything. I was like, this is not practically possible. So the point is, it's like 5 months to CLAT, but everybody has a different lifestyle. You have different family commitments, different school commitment, different tuitions. Some have sports, some don't have sports. Like, everybody has different engagements. So the only thing will matter is, like, plan on a long term basis. Take into consideration your pre-boards. Take into consideration October में जब सारे festivals हो रहे होंगे, दिवाली भी चल रही है, दशहरे भी चल रहे हैं. I mean, like, because you will not understand, but when, like, suddenly time start running out. Because Diwali में like some people celebrate in a big way, so एक हफ्ता दिवाली में चला गया. Some schools allow you to skip pre-board, some don't. Like, some schools are strict, some are not. So take into consideration how your life works. Be honest with yourself. Everybody knows their like capabilities, their resources, how much time do they have. For me, I did not have any time during the day, so I used to get up 3 a.m. in the morning and do it before the school starts.
Okay.
Because everybody has different.
Yeah, I'm like, depends whether you're a morning
So I
person
cannot
or
dictate somebody else's timetable, and
True.
they will not be able to follow it also.
True.
And
So,
2 days are identical. So, as Harshita said, to-do lists are much better than timetables. And please don't watch such videos. They are very misleading and you will get faltu ki anxiety देख देख के.
That's true. And I think everybody agrees on that. Watching too many videos on what to do, especially those last 30 days, last 45 days, and they have these lightning bolts coming from somewhere in those videos, and it's like you get struck by the lightning bolt, and half the time you are wondering what's hit you, right? तो जितना वो तैयारी कर रहे होते हैं उतना भी दिमाग बिल्कुल घूम जाता है, right? So let's
I
not
mean,
get
another
into that.
thing with those videos is like they really scare you to the core. They are like, you cannot do it. तुमने अभी तक टाइम वेस्ट किया है, तुम्हें समझ नहीं आ रहा है, 30 दिन बचे हैं, क्या कर रहे हो तुम? And it's like, if you watch those videos and you're like, you're already demotivated, because let's be honest, no one is very motivated like 30 days before Clat. Everyone is like, क्या होगा मेरा, क्या हो पाएगा? And then the person on the screen is just, हाँ भाई नहीं हो पाएगा तुम्हारा. I am telling you, if you don't follow these tips, तुम्हारा कहीं नहीं हो रहा है, तुम घर पे बैठे रहोगे, तुम रोगे. That is the kind of videos that are like being posted online in the last 30 days.
Yeah.
So for like, I used to avoid those videos at August. I was like, I will not watch
But
those
you've
videos.
seen quite a few because you know the content so
I
well.
know this because
Right?
I'm not even kidding. I have heard this from people, and like, one time I just watched it for, let's see ki kya hota. And then I got sad the entire time. I was like, I will
Chalo,
not watch
ठीक
this
है.
video later
ठीक
on.
है. So
I'm okay.
one tip from all of you: do not watch any videos 30 days prior as to how to crack Clat in 30 days. That is something which
The
is
one
generally
thing
not
that
even
if you
doable,
want to crack,
frankly. Right now 5 months are there. It's still time. You did still have a lot of time wherein you can put in the effort. And if you like, Harshita says, keep a very positive outlook. That's something which is very, very important, especially in the last 5-6 months. For people who've been preparing for a year, I feel this is the time when sometimes, maybe they've put in so much of effort in the beginning, but in the last 5 months, they feel drained. You feel so exhausted by the end of it. You feel you've already done it. Now, how do I keep myself motivated for the last 5 months, right? For some people, that struggle is there. For others, it is like, okay, I've already missed the bus. I didn't study anything in the initial months. Now, what do I do? Right? So, everybody is in a different boat, right? Everybody has a different way to manage their things, but the destination remains the same, right? And there's certain basic guiding principles which are always going to be constant. Couple of them being consistent, giving your mocks, yes, analyzing your mocks, very, very, very important, and practice. Practice, and more practice, right? I think that is something which is most crucial. And somebody here had been asking me that, ma'am, GK kaise handle kare? So I think for that person, humne GK sabse pehle handle kara tha. So if you go back to the beginning of the video, we covered GK full-fledged, right? So you can go in for that. And GK, like I think beech mein humne baat kari bhi thi, GK is all about consistency, right? You always have to have it with you, along with you, your notes which are on a regular basis, and your revision. I feel that is a very important thing. I feel revision is something which one tends to overlook. You make your notes, you make them so beautifully. Ye red pen, ye blue pen, koi PowerPoint pe banata hai, ye blue, ye orange. I have seen such beautiful notes. There's a student of mine in Delhi who used to make such beautiful notes on PowerPoint. Nahi, wo dusra wala kaun sa hota hai? What's the Excel? Is to make this beautiful notes on Excel, and everything will be like color coordinated. This is most important, this is least important. So most of the time I used to wonder, was do you go through it? You've put in so much of effort in making it, but the most important thing is to go through it again and again, right? Revising your notes is something which is very, very crucial, right? And like in the beginning we were saying, GK में बहुत ज़्यादा sources पे जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं, right? That's something which is very, very crucial, right? And in fact, all over, I feel, when it comes down to mock series and mocks and all also, trying to put too many fingers in too many pies is not going to take you anywhere, right? In fact, you'll not be able to taste any of the pies then, right? So then I think with that, we can call it a day. It was supposed to be a short and crisp session, but somehow we managed to stretch a little. And but I hope all of you enjoyed, and I'm hoping the session was meaningful for all those who are going to give their exam in 25. And I feel all of you were very enthusiastic, and thank you for being here, and thank you for giving your valuable inputs. And it just, the way you guys were talking, it just shows the amount of passion you had while you prepared for the CLAT exam. And a very big thank you for coming here, talking to all these people. And also, best of luck, all the best for the next month. Right, the next month is when the D-Day is coming for all of you. When you finally, all this 2 years, 3 years of hard work, all the midnight oil, Brahmjot ka early morning oil, jo burning hua hai, sabka midnight and early morning, all that is going to pay off, and you will be in your dream colleges, right? Okay, but like we are the CP, we are CP and we are a family. So like तुमने अक्षत से मिले वो 2020 2 साल हो गए law school में, still he's in touch with us, right? So that's the beauty about us. So I just hope that we guys all of us keep in touch, and that's all for now, right? Chalo guys, then all the best. Take care,
Thank you
everybody.
so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Most welcome.